Hey guys, this is an AK. This is not. What I have with me today is a VZ58V. The V actually signifies this particular one. It has a folding paratrooper style of stock. Even though this particular rifle fully resembles almost everything you think of at first glance with an AK-47, it's simply not one. It's not even considered an AK variant because everything functions differently. Yeah, it works like a traditional firearm, but the action and everything is totally different. Let me explain a little bit. What you've got here, you'll even notice that you have on your gas tube cover, this looks like the same one on an AK. However, inside of it, you actually have a very short stroke piston in here that comes back a little bit over a ½ an inch. That's the little bit that this thing cycles. You'll also notice that when I have an empty magazine in there, this thing locks completely open. And when I tell you it locks open, it locks wide open. You're not gonna have many failures to extract or any jams inside this thing. Look how open this thing is. It's like a freaking convertible with the top down. This thing is wide open. You'll notice that it is milled, full milled receiver, very, very strong, but it's very light. It's actually lighter than an AK-47. But you have that really short stroke. This is essentially also a striker fired gun. The hammer system and everything works totally different. The bolt carrier group is a lot different than an AK-47. Again, on the outside is the only place that these guys resemble each other. Certainly not on the inside. You'll notice on an AK-47 that the piston goes all the way to the front where the gas tube is. Very, very long piston. You'll also notice that we have a very small piston on the 58. The 58 only comes out, again, maybe a little bit over a ½ an inch. What it does is it slams into this bolt carrier. You can see the little mark here where it hits the bolt carrier, sends it backwards whenever it fires, and then it simply recoils back forward again using the guide rod and recoil spring inside. That's the biggest difference as far as this thing goes, is again the function of how it actually works, the gas system and all that. But there are other recognizable things that are different about it also. You'll notice the magazines. The magazines are absolutely not interchangeable between the 58 and the 47. You can actually make your bolt hold open without having a magazine in it. So it works two different ways. Either you have your empty magazine that holds it open, or you simply press this little tab just to the right of your trigger guard, hold it in, and it's going to hold your bolt back. It locks it open for you. That's a cool safety feature. If you're going to the range or something like that, I always try to encourage people to lock their action open so that people that they're passing will not only see that it's safe and that it's clean and unloaded, but also if you're taking the firearm in and out of your vehicle, you're always going to be able to see at one glance that we're dealing with a safe and an unloaded firearm. Big deal to me right there. Now the magic of that bolt hold open is of course the magazines. You'll notice they have this ridge on the back. That ridge right there holds this little follower, this little leaf on the back of the follower that rides all the way down and comes all the way up. And of course, just like that of any handgun or anything else, it hits that tab on the VZ58 whenever it's empty, and it holds that bolt back. That it actually hangs up on this very tab right here. So that's the magic of it. The sights are pretty basic. I gotta say that the only thing that probably really resembles an AK-47 on the VZ58 is probably the sights. Very, very similar to it, especially the rear sight has the same exact kind of configuration. And I have not checked, but to be honest with you, they're probably interchangeable with one another. They look like they mount the exact same way. This particular model that I got, it comes with the actual very authentic leather bag that holds 4 of your magazines and a cleaning kit. Very cool little addition to this. My friends over at Robbins Gunsmithing in Sulphur, Louisiana helped me out with this. But a neat reproduction. I guess you could say reproduction, because obviously when this thing was in its original form, it was fully automatic. And in order for it to be imported in the United States, it's rebuilt using some of the old parts and some new parts in it. But very cool thing. Bakelite, of course the stock one's a Bakelite, and then it's, you know, it's got a different look to it. Kind of a plasticky wood look to it, if you will. Now, during that Cold War period, the Soviet Union controlled everything on the other side of the world. We all know this. But some countries still had a certain sense of pride, Czechoslovakia being one of them. Czechoslovakia, CZ in general, has always been known for building some really fine, nice, high-quality firearms. The VZ58 was no different. So whenever the Soviet Union pretty much mandated the creation of the Warsaw Pact to somewhat combat and be the answer to what NATO had done for the United States and all of their allies, by forming the Warsaw Pact, countries like Czechoslovakia were kind of sucked in to do everything that the Soviet Union wanted them to do, which meant that they would have to use a 7.62 by 39 round. Not a big deal. CZ simply used the VZ-58 in their own design to accompany that 7.62 by 39 round as part of their agreement to be in the Warsaw Pact with the protection, kind of like the mobster dues that you were paying. All right, first up, guys, I want you to see the AK-47. I want you to see how this thing functions a little bit differently as far as the cycling goes. Note, of course, remember our safety here. That's on safe right there. Bolt will not come back. Now, I've got my VZ-58. Mag goes in the same way. Pretty much charges the same way. Grab your handle from the right-hand side. Now, your magazine is in there good, safe, fire, safe, fire. It's not on your thumb side. It's like where the ambi side would be, just on the right-hand side. But again, it's easy to get to, it's easy to work, as long as you know where it is. Now, one thing I gotta tell you, I'm not a real big fan of, this gun is slightly short for me. Notice how close I am, and I knocked my target down, so if you don't hear it ring again, I'm just shooting at the brace. I hit the wood. If I lean into this thing comfortably, like I would an AK, my nose, see where my nose is? It's hitting right here. So it's not as comfortable for me. Yeah, see, that touched my nose there. I gotta back off of it a little bit. You can put a different type of stock on there, give me a little bit more length. But what I just do is I push my shoulder forward a little bit to give me a little more room. Again, guys, this is not a deal breaker. I'm just simply telling you how it works whenever you shoot this thing. The size does come into play a little bit, but it's fun to shoot. That's cool. Oh, you want to see the bolt hold open? Bolt holds open. My gun is empty. I do like that. Guys, you know me, and you know I like firearms. I pretty much like everything out there. I've always had a really strong appreciation for the AK-47, a lot of rich history, millions of these things out there. Very nice gun. After putting your hands on a VZ-58 and working the AK-47 together, you come to realize that these two firearms, even though they resemble each other, are about as different as an AR-15 and an AK-47 in many respects. The action being the main thing, of course. However, I love the way this thing works. I like the way that you have that kind of convertible top to it. Very easy access. The bolt hold open is a no-brainer. I like the fact that you can force it to stay open even if you don't have a magazine in it. The Czechoslovakians have never been slouches in terms of making firearms. CZ is a premier firearm maker in the world, even still today. So these guys weren't going to let the Russians tell them what to shoot back in the day. They decided to stick with their own design and just use that 7.62 by 39 firearm cartridge. So cool that they did that, and kudos to them for doing that and sticking to their own guns, so to speak. Very nice touch there. I really like the fact that those guys did that. This is a fun gun to shoot. I got to tell you, I'm going to put some more rounds down range, but a big hat tip to the guys over there in Czechoslovakia for not only designing this thing, but for also making enough guns, 900-something thousand of them, during that whole Warsaw Pact area and keeping them in circulation during that time.